Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It is 7:07. It's O'Connor and Company. Busy Wednesday morning. We continue to cover the stories that matter most to you. Coming up at 8:05, we'll speak with Senator Tommy Tuberville of Alabama. And at 8:35, Tom Newmark out of Frederick, Maryland, who wants to let you know about a parents' rally later today. I'm Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock. Good morning, Julie.
Morning.
We're trying to cover this murder of the Ukrainian refugee in Charlotte, North Carolina, from as many angles as possible. It's one of those touchstone moments, I think, that could galvanize the American people in a way that we've never been galvanized before, where we don't have to put up with this kind of violence and crime in our communities any longer. And gone are all of the bromides and hand-wringing and catchphrases that have been the dominant talking points of the left when it comes to talking about criminal justice. Here, let me give you some examples. Spencer B. Merriweather III. It's quite a name. He's the district attorney of Mecklenburg County. That's North Carolina, the county that encompasses Charlotte. When you go to his campaign website, he focuses on this. Spencer has been recognized as a leader in justice reform efforts, actively engaging with statewide leaders as the governor's task force on racial equity in the criminal justice system, cited his office's policies as best practices to be followed across North Carolina. Spencer knows that justice reform is a community-centered effort and has worked to expand the community's access to the district attorney's office, expanded alternatives to prosecution, because the vast majority of his bio and accolades have to do with those kind of bromides. Joining us right now is Cully Stimson. Now, he is the senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation. He is a former prosecutor, and he also co-authored Rogue Prosecutors, How Radical Soros Lawyers Are Destroying America's Communities. Cully, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me back on.
I used to think that all of these reforms and all of these initiatives came from a good place, even if the results were going to make us less safe and actually encourage more violent crime. I'm not so sure that they even come from a good place anymore, frankly, after reading your book and after reading about how George Soros and these organizations sort of want to upend what we've known to be normative criminal justice policies in our country. Am I being paranoid?
No, you're being too kind, frankly, because these are not bromides. These are ideas that they've inflicted upon America. It's the worst failed social experiment in American history. And it's really hard to admit when your ideas and policy ideas are wrong. And it's really harder to admit and acknowledge that your policy ideas are wrong and they kill people and make society more dangerous. And that's exactly what's happening. That's why I exactly wrote our book. So when you hear about carceral state and over-incarceration and over-policing, that's all the blather that they say, and now it's coming back to haunt the rest of America.
I'm really curious about the system in North Carolina. Apparently, a magistrate judge was in charge and released. This is a system of these magistrate judges throughout North Carolina. It was a magistrate judge that released this criminal who went on to kill this young woman. She's not accepted to the bar. I don't even think she's a lawyer. But what's also interesting is this magistrate judge, Teresa Stokes, is a co-owner of a recovery services, Pinnacle Recovery Service, which is a mental health and addiction treatment outfit. So it seems like this is ethically questionable that she's releasing these violent criminals back onto the street to ostensibly get treatment. But tell us about the legal system. Are these real judges?
It's a good question, Julie. You realize also you don't have to be a judge to be on the Supreme Court of the United States. So every state has their own rules with respect to magistrate judges. Most magistrate judges do a great job. Different states have different rules, whether you have to be a lawyer, a practicing lawyer at the bar. The question isn't whether she's a lawyer. The question was she has common sense and whether she's ethically conflicted off because she has a financial interest to make sure people are available to go to her program. And so I'm sure the North Carolina folks are going to take a hard look at her. But the blame lies with the perp. The perp and then all the other judges who didn't hammer him when he was convicted and give him the long prison sentence he deserved in the first place.
The new talking point we're getting now is that this is a mental illness issue, that you can incarcerate somebody, but if they're schizophrenic, what are you going to do? The fact of the matter is, mental illness, it's actually insulting to people who do suffer from mental illness, that suddenly that means that they're, on the verge of some sort of violent knife attack. This is not isolated to just mental illness, but what part of that factors into this, and what could be done?
Look, the fact is that the criminal justice system is narrow and noble mission. It's to hold criminals accountable. It's not designed to fix all of society's ills. Yes, there are people with mental health issues, and that's real. Some commit crimes. That's real. And the legal question is whether they're capable of understanding the difference between right and wrong at the time of the offense, and whether they're capable of assisting their own defense during trial. That's it. If they're not capable, then you involuntarily commit them and treat them. Of course, they're humans. They need to be treated. And if they restore their sanity, they can be tried. But this is not the criminal justice system, which the left has really done a masterful job at, and now it's coming back to haunt them, is they try to pretend it's a fix-all for everything. It's not. It's a noble and narrow mission, hold criminals accountable, and that's where the left has failed.
Is it coming back to haunt them, though? They're all tripling down on this stuff. You see Roy Cooper, who's running for Senate. He was the governor of North Carolina when all of these so-called reforms were put in place that allowed this man to be released time and time again. They seem to be saying, oh, no, don't look over here. That's not the problem at all. But is this really just the political will they need to lose, and lose badly, so that they change their policies?
Yep. The ballot box is the ultimate arbiter. So you see Chester Boudin in San Francisco got recalled as the DA, George Gascon in L.A., you saw Kim Foxx leave office in Chicago. You see all these other DAs get voted out of office. The problem, Larry and Julie, is that the damage is done by the time they vote them out of office. And so you
that
have
doesn't
to
help
pay
this
attention.
woman's family.
Right. You have to pay attention to what's happening in your community to make sure that law and order people are in charge.
Cully, what about the racial aspect? We can't deny that there's a racial aspect of it. And by the way, pardon me for reacting to the fact that all of these reforms were put in place because of race. We were told that we had a systemically racist criminal justice system that continues to persecute people of African American heritage and race, and therefore we have to do this. We must be compelled to do this. And most white Americans were cowed into this and said, okay, fine, just stop calling me racist. Well, the numbers are astonishing, Cully, in terms of the number of violent crimes perpetrated by black men in our society. And oftentimes those victims are white as well. I mean, the numbers are astounding. Are we allowed to talk about that?
Well, we should talk about reality and common sense. And the additional reality, and everything you said is true, is that the vast majority of victims of homicide are black men who were murdered
at the hands of other black men.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. And so I thought Black Lives mattered. Because if Black lives actually matter, then who kills them is less important than who the victim is. And so, look, when you water down felonies, when you don't prosecute misdemeanors, when you don't send violent youths to adult court, when you don't ask for cash bail, when you don't ask for life without parole, when you do all this stupid stuff that these rogue prosecutors and so-called reformers do, you get more crime, and the vast majority of the victims are black. So if you care about all lives, especially black lives, then you enact common sense criminal justice reforms.
Cully, hang with us. You're a Heritage Foundation conservative, and instinctively we don't want the federal government to meddle and get involved because, generally speaking, the federal government can't fix problems. That said, what is the federal government's role here? What is the U.S. Attorney's Office and the Justice Department's role as they are taking action? And should we actually have a robust federal response? We'll pose those questions to Cully in a moment.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Yesterday, the U.S. attorney that handles the jurisdiction of Charlotte, North Carolina, announced that federal murder charges will be levied against Carlos Brown Jr. for that stabbing of Irina Zarutska. And the rationale of how this is a federal charge is creative. The Charlotte area transit system was partially funded, if not fully funded, by federal tax dollars. And there were provisions in that law that would allow for this prosecution to move forward, theoretically. Cully, you heard the setup here. I applaud the federal government for doing this because clearly the local DA's office can't be trusted after releasing this man 14 times. But is that the solution? Do we really want federal overreach on things like this?
We're a republic. The police power lies in the states. The 2,300 elected DAs handle the vast majority of murders in the country. The exercise of federal power in this case will be challenged in court by the federal public defender. But this ain't a whodunit, he done it. So the local DA will be able to handle the case if it devolves to them. And by the way, under the double jeopardy clause, both can try him. Usually the feds go first, then the states go first, because you can't be tried twice for the same crime by the same sovereign. And these are two different sovereigns. And so this ain't a whodunit. He'll be held accountable. And it's appropriate for locals to handle these common law crimes like murder.
People are frustrated and people are scared, by the way. And I keep saying that this could be a galvanizing moment. What needs to happen next year? And can we keep saying, well, Soros funds these DAs and these DAs go in and they upend things and they release criminals. We sort of shrug about that. But can we take action against these institutions, these NGOs who use their money to deteriorate our society?
Yeah, and just to add on to that, you see the Democrats using this as an excuse to request more money for mental health services. It's just after, COVID. It's like, oh, schools need more mental health services. They're actually using this as a way to demand that we fund their programs rather than really addressing the issue.
Right, because they don't want to admit that their policies are radical and wrong and have killed people. And so they're going to ask you to look at the shiny bauble over here on this side, when in fact their policies are in place over there. Look, the genius of this radical lefty movement started in 2017 by Soros with Kim Foxx in Chicago and then spread across the country like kudzu or cancer, is that they realize that these are low-dollar, low-visibility races, and they realize that there's no federal response. It's mainly a local response, and people don't pay attention to their local races. Look at the race yesterday in Virginia. It's an off-year election. Look at the voter participation rate. They know all that. And so the key for people across this country, across the systems of justice across the country, is wake the hell up, pay attention who your DA is, put law and order DAs in office, put law and order judges on the bench, and put law and order policies in place. And if they have all these blather words that you started the program with that are funded for by Soros and the Tides Foundation, Open Society, like over-incarceration or reimagine the criminal justice system, you know what they are. And then, in a selfless plug, get our book, because we lay out the playbook and origins of this movement. This comes from the prison abolitionist movement. They don't want prisons. They want to reimagine the criminal justice system and, quote, reverse engineer and dismantle it. Those are their words. They're telling you what they want. They're telling you what they're going to do, and then they do it. And yet we just sort of la-di-da, don't pay attention. We got to wake up, smell the coffee, and pay attention to what's going on.
The book that Cully Stimson just shamelessly plugged is called Rogue Prosecutors, How Radical Soros Lawyers Are Destroying America's Communities. There's also a mini documentary based on this that I remember seeing, right? Is that available on all the video platforms? Yep.
Newsmax did that. And then we did a series of small little 2-minute blogs in the streets of San Francisco, down the Embarcadero where Kate Steinle was killed, in the Tenderloin District, et cetera, to show you, all the horrible things that have happened in San Francisco when that social justice experiment failed and blew up in everyone's face.
Are we building enough prisons? We're talking about, we just played a clip of Zohran Mamdani, who is concerned that Rikers is overcrowded, so he wants to reduce the population, which means letting criminals out on the streets. Are we focusing enough on incarceration? Or I got to ask, Cully, you're a prosecutor, but you're at Heritage. You know that culture is a major problem here. Other countries don't have this issue. They don't have these problems, not to the level that we do, at least Western nations. Japan doesn't have this kind of violent crime. What needs to be done culturally to sort of reset? Because I feel like so many of us have sort of stayed behind our protected bubbles and say, well, it's not in my neighborhood, so, what are you going to do? There's nothing that can be done.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. I've been saying for a while now, this is a cultural shift that needs to happen in our country. When you consider the fact that in every year in this country, we have between 18 and 21,000 murders, which is more than 11 European countries and Japan combined every year. We have a massive crime problem. And when you consider, based on the National Crime Victim Survey and other data from the FBI, that less than half of murderers serve a day in prison, 95% of rapists, armed robbers, and armed carjackers don't serve a day in prison. We don't have a mass incarceration problem. We have an under-incarceration problem if you want all those Tier 1 people to go to prison, and I do.
All right, Cully, we got to leave it there. Thank you, as always, for joining us. Food for thought, and hopefully this horrible death of this young woman can lead to something positive and some sort of change and fix and reform, real reform, not the junk we've been dealing with. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me.
People have been bugging Trump to go out and enjoy D.C.'s restaurant scene. And when he does, he did last night, Code Pink shows up and harasses him. We've got the latest. Keep it here at 7:30.
WMAL FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
7:37 is the time. September 10th is the date. Good Lord, tomorrow is September 11th. 24 years since our world was forever altered by the events of September 11th. We'll certainly be focusing on that tomorrow. But we've got plenty to focus on today, as well as other life-changing events seem to alter our perspective on a moment-by-moment basis. Coming up at 8:05, Senator Tommy Tuberville of Alabama will talk about a high-profile criminal incident that happened to an Auburn professor down in his home state, and also about Space Force coming down there to the what do they call Alabama? It's not the what state is it? Is it the? It's not the Palmetto State. That's South Carolina.
Oh, I don't know.
It's not. What is Alabama? Oh, my gosh. I used to know all of these.
Oh, gosh.
All right. I'll look it up.
I'm sorry.
We'll get it by the time we get Senator Tuberville. Also at 8:35, Tom Newmark, a dad out in Frederick County, want to talk to you about a parents' rally happening tonight. It's Julie Gunlock from the Old Dominion.
That's right.
That would be the Commonwealth of Virginia. Yes. Although you're originally from Illinois, which is the land of Lincoln.
I am.
See, I know these things.
Very smart.
I don't know about that. I have a very wide but not so deep breadth of knowledge, which is perfect for morning radio because I only have to talk about things about 7 or 8 minutes at a time.
What is it? You know a little bit about a lot of things.
Exactly.
Right?
That's the criteria for being a morning radio host.
There you go.
Because your segment, if you've noticed, if we have to go over with a segment or something, and we have to, I run out of, I got nothing.
Yeah, there are a couple things that I shut up though. You have a very I can tell you get really excited. I'm like, we're just gonna let him go.
I don't know about that.
So there's a few topics.
The one thing that I do, and you and I can both go on. We could do our own 4-hour podcast on food, and we're foodies. We love going out.
And women who wear dark rimmed glasses.
Yes, that's true.
Another one. And have vocal fry. That seems to be a favorite topic of ours.
But we both love going out to eat, love good restaurants, love good food and menus, and certainly, we love to have people over at our home and cook for our families. Food is love. And I love living, listen, I've lived my adult life, I've lived in New York, I've lived in Los Angeles, and I've lived in Washington, D.C., 3 cities that are known for great dining and great restaurants. Donald Trump, of course, before he became president, spent his entire adult life in the city of New York, and he was known not only for going out to great restaurants in New York, but he also had some fine Michelin star restaurants in his properties. So when I had the opportunity the first time as president in 2017 to sit face-to-face with him, I actually raised this. Obviously, we talked about tax cuts. We talked about Hillary Clinton and the Russian collusion hoax and lots of other things. But I drilled down at the end of the interview. Take a listen. Cut 17.
Other than David Burke's BLT Prime, which is a fantastic restaurant.
Right, they're doing
what's your favorite
job.
Restaurant that you would go? I mean, if you had to go to one restaurant in this
I'll tell you my favorite
and
restaurant.
Two-part. Can you give me a table?
Sure. Really, I'll try and get you a table. You do have some great restaurants. Rather than insulting anyone, though, I will say I love the food in the White House. The White House is the greatest restaurant.
True.
It's
I
the
guess I
most
hadn't thought of
beautiful.
that. That's
it's
true.
You're
Yeah.
probably seeing from your little samples outside that I noticed.
we got
that
some
took
nice
a-
wraps today. Thanks
But-
for that.
but-
Yeah, that was we were in the East Room that day. It was fun, and they did put out food. So, but I asked, I said, have you gone to any D.C. restaurants other than David Burke BLT, who, by the way, of course, was in the lobby of the Trump International
Yeah,
Hotel,
yeah.
And he would go there. But other than that, he hasn't really gone to restaurants in D.C. until last night. Last night, he and Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth went out, and Marco Rubio, Secretary of State. Boy, what a foursome. Yeah, table for four, please.
Yeah.
Oh, who's coming?
Yeah.
President, Vice President, Defense, Secretary of War and Secretary of State. And they went to Joe's Stone Crab.
Stone Crab. Yep.
Crab House. Yeah, Stone Crab House.
Delicious.
Well,
It's
I've
Joe's
not been
Seafood Prime Steak and Stone Crabs.
I've not been. Have I been to the? Oh, I have been to the DC.
Have
one.
you?
Yeah, now that I think about it, for an event they got. I went. I've never. Yeah, because there's an upstairs. I've been to an event.
Yes.
I realized as I was saying it, it sounded
Oh my
super
God,
elitist.
those
but
stone crabs claws are.
I was
so,
invited to a media industry party upstairs, and now I remember that was a fantastic meal. So
when you go to these lunch really quickly, I went to a business. I've gone to a couple business lunches there, and when you're at these business lunches, you're not.
In
there
other
for the
words, we
food.
never pick up the check, is what we're trying.
Exactly, and you're not supposed to really be there for the food. You're supposed to be there for it's some issue or you're meeting someone.
They want to
And
educate
I'm
you
sitting,
about a
I'm like,
topic.
I need a corner. I hate this. Because you politely take one stone crab. I'm like, pass me the platter.
Oh, it's true.
Sorry. Anyway,
So here's our table for four. Talk about a power table. They go to Joe's and then take a listen to what happened in the restaurant. Cut 16.
Trump is the Hitler of our time. Free DC, free Palestine. Trump is the Hitler of our time. Free DC, free Palestine. Trump is the Hitler of our time. Free DC, free Palestine. Trump is the Hitler of our time. What do you want your legacy to be? Let's go.
These moral idiots dare to raise the name of Hitler when trying to defend the Hamas terrorist, anti-Semitic regime of so-called Palestine. It's despicable, and you shouldn't be surprised to learn it's Madeira Benjamin and Code Pink.
Yeah,
Julie, how did they know about this? Somebody must have tipped them off. How were
these women are identifiable. They're always wearing. Maybe they went in without their stupid keffiyehs and pink hats or whatever, but how were they? They were close.
It had to be somebody at the restaurant. Because there had to be advance work, there had to be Secret Service, they had to screen the place.
This is outrageous.
Somebody at the restaurant must have tipped them off and got them a table, and this happened. And that it's absolutely disgusting. Absolutely,
it is
disgusting.
It is. I mean, and we've experienced this all during the first Trump administration. We remember the famous story of Kellyanne Conway. And others being harassed in
Sarah
in
Huckabee
restaurants.
Sanders,
Sarah Huckabee kicked out of a restaurant in Lexington. Yep. Yes, so it's tiresome, it's disruptive, and this I don't know how. Honestly, also, how did they get this close? Where was the Secret Service? I mean,
good question. Good question. Real fast, 17A, Trump just because I want to focus on my interview with him because it was a great day in my life.
In Washington, you do have some great restaurants, and I'm going to start going to them. I was accused the other day, when I leave the White House, which is seldom, I always go to my hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue, and they say he should go to other places, and I never thought of it. And I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to go around.
All right,
I'm going to go around.
I hope this incident does not dissuade the president because it is a great restaurant town. But you know what? If the management of the restaurants and the staff of the restaurants continue to behave this way, they don't deserve the attention that they get.
That's right.
It's 7:44.
Making sense of your world.
I can't believe this.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
And I am so with you.
Making sense of the news.
Later today on the Chris Plant Show, just when you think Jasmine Crockett can't get any dumber.
Law enforcement isn't to prevent crime.
9 a.m. on WMAL.
It's the Yellowhammer State. Alabama is the Yellowhammer state.
There
Thank
we
you,
go.
Michael Shelton, for doing that deep dive for us. The Yellowhammer. If I had been tortured, I would not have come up with that. If this were the
Same.
question on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, I would get the sad trombone.
That's why you always have Michael Shelton there.
We have a great team here, thank God.
Yes.
And now in a segment we like to call Dumb Things Democrats Say. Let's begin with Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg, who loves to, sit and lecture all of us about policies and morality and ethics and, anything. She had Justice Sonia Sotomayor on the program on The View. This was a real meeting of the minds.
Jeez.
Here's cut 18, Whoopi Goldberg. Take it away, Whoops.
And we know that you can't comment on legal cases pending, but as Sonny said, the ruling yesterday about ICE raids, I'm just curious, how are they going to know who is who?
Read my dissent.
Where can people find these dissents? Because I think people always think they're not available to regular folks. Is there a place to help?
Online.
So there's this thing called the internet. Think about the level of and by the way, I'm buddies with Meghan McCain. I'm not telling tales out of school. Each person on The View has a tiny little staff that works with them. They have their own sort of set of producers and assistants that each one of them. Whoopi has the most of any of them. Whoopi has a team.
Because she needs them
to help her say something on television. It's like, think about that. I mean, we have a team here. I just mentioned we have a great team, but they don't tell us what to say.
No,
they don't.
I think we should tee up the Senator Stevens internet tubes thing whenever we talk about Whoopi Goldberg talking about things like the internet, because she is so.
Where can people find Supreme Court decisions?
Where? I mean, has she heard of the Google? My mom calls Google the Google. So has she heard of the
machine.
Google?
Yeah. All right, that's not all. We've got more dumb things Democrats say. Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, did I mention she's a Democrat? She went to a church, a black church, of course, and here was, you know what? I don't even want to set this up. Here's Kathy Hochul at a black church.
Monday, get something you really need, okay? Don't stop by the liquor store.
Oh, my.
Okay? Buy something for the kids. Buy them some food. Sometimes I have to stop by the liquor store, too. I understand. It's all right. It's all right.
Oh, I love that I love the recovery. The recovery. Oh, I go there, too. It's like because she realized what she had said. Yeah.
Good God. Well,
I know how you people are.
Hold on. At least she didn't do it in a fake accent. Okay?
That's
She
true.
sort of sounded normal. Let's give her that.
Don't you all go down there to that liquor store.
She just sounded like a scoldy. Wait, what are we calling? We're not saying Karen anymore.
Abigail. A Spanberger. She sounds like a Spanberger. Yeah. Hold on, real fast. Again, she's talking about here she is giving. This is the Bethel Baptist Church Sunday service.
Buffalo, New York.
Can we hear it again?
Monday, get something you really need, okay? Don't stop by the liquor store.
There you go. So these are tax rebates, by the way. She's celebrating because an election's coming up that they did a middle class tax cut and they're sending out check rebates to people. So take your money, don't spend it all in one day. Get something you need. Don't go to the liquor store. All right. I can't believe
Charming.
while we're
this is what they think of people.
Yes, and while we're walking on eggshells talking about this murder in North Carolina and trying to bend over backwards saying, don't call me a racist because I'm. Here's Kathy Hochul, Leroy Jenkins. Go out there and get your orange pop and your pork rinds and unbelievable. All right,
People are
it's 7:53.